Solve the square root of x plus 5 equals x minus 1. Step 1. Isolate the radical expression on one side of the equal sign. The radical expression is already isolated, so we go to step 2. If the radical is a square root, which it is in this case, then we square both sides. So we take the square root of x plus 5 and square the left-hand side. And we take x minus 1 as a quantity, that means inside parentheses, and square that. So the square root of x plus 5 squared is simply x plus 5. Now we have a binomial x minus 1 squared, so we're going to have to use the distributive property or the FOIL method to expand the binomial. So we multiply x times x, that gives us x squared. Then we multiply x times negative 1, that gives us negative 1x. Then we take negative 1 times x, and that gives us negative 1x. And then negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Combining our like terms, we get x squared minus 2x plus 1. Since we have a quadratic equation, we need to set the equation equal to 0. So we're going to subtract x and 5 from both sides of the equal sign. On the left-hand side, we'll have 0. And on the right-hand side, we have x squared minus 3x minus 4. Our next step is to solve the quadratic by factoring. So x squared minus 3x minus 4 factors to x minus 4 times x plus 1. We'll set each of these factors to 0 to solve. So we have x minus 4 equals 0 and x plus 1 equals 0. So for the first equation, we're going to add 4 to both sides. And that gives us x equals 4. And for the second equation, we subtract 1 from both sides. And that would give us x equals negative 1. Once we've solved, we need to check both answers. So we'll start with the 4. So we come to our original problem. The square root of x plus 5 equals x minus 1, and we're going to substitute 4 in for x. So we get the square root of 4 plus 5 equals 4 minus 1. 4 plus 5 is 9, so we have the square root of 9 equals 3. And we know that the square root of 9 is 3, so our answer checks. 3 equals 3. So 4 checks. Next, we need to substitute negative 1 in for x. So we have the square root of negative 1 plus 5 equals negative 1 minus 1. So the square root of negative 1 plus 5 is the square root of 4 equals negative 1 minus 1, which is negative 2. So in this case, since our answer does not check, since the answer equals a negative 2, negative 1 is what we call an extraneous solution. So the only solution for this problem that checks is x equals 4.